And one of the things that I think, like big picture, is there's a conflict between winning and developing. And I have seen it big time, all the way up to varsity. Uh, NHL is different because coaches are paid, players are paid, and like I can name like Jacques Martin and Pierre Pagé in Quebec and Terrien in Montreal, and like I've listened to those people, and going back to the minors, I think that, and because I've worked with minor hockey associations, because they had big problems with parents and with this, like shortening the bench and not playing players and stuff like that. And I'm offering this reflection. It's like, it's not today, it's tomorrow, because the mindset of coaches and parents, we have to educate to change the mindset. And from what I have observed over, like we're talking about, when I coached, I started working, I was 25 years. So that's 50 years away. And I coached minor hockey, and I was an assistant. And the coach used to it was worse than shortening his bench. There was one player that was like outstanding, heads and shoulders above everybody else. And he played him like all the time. And, I was an assistant. I didn't know much about coaching, but I observed stuff. And what I'm thinking is that as I've heard Wally, and I just heard Dan, I think, and other people talking about what works, is that before the season starts, you have to get the whole group together and develop a philosophy. Like, if you're not going to shorten the bench, if you're going to play the four lines and all that kind of stuff, it's got to be established right off the bat so that people don't have false expectations. Because there will be games when, like the only way you're going to win is shortening the bench. But in the short run, that hurts you. In the long run, it helps tremendously, because I have been part of teams that have not respected that shortening the bench, or, like playing the top guys or whatever, and won championships. So I'm a believer that if you play everybody right from the start, and that's always the philosophy that you apply throughout the season, and you remind the parents and you remind the kids, like, it's about fun. It's not about winning. It's about having fun playing the sport you love. And in the long run, you do get the results. And I'm sure that you have lived it. And this business about the players knowing, it's so true, because I have seen it, or been part of it, listening to the discourse of, like, when we get to the last 5 minutes and let's say we're down by a goal, everybody kind of just says, play the top people so that maybe we can get that goal. If we get it, great. If we don't get it, hey, we played a great game, and when the time was appropriate, we changed things so that we increased the potential. But everybody got their opportunity to contribute. Reflecting on what Wally brought up, this business of labeling players, I say many years, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, if you remember, Wally, with Yannick, we went away from this business of line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. We went away from all labels, and it was a positive impact on the team, because then it's the old business, like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say this person is a certain role, then that's what they limit their ability to. It's unfortunate, but that's the way human beings are. But if you say, whenever you go on the ice, you give your best shot, there's some days that, and I saw it, and Wally experienced it here when he was here, where the best player was not the best player. If you remember, Wally, I remember a game when that top person got 3 penalties because she just wasn't there. And, like it was, she was not the person to be put into the situation. I think that in the long run, you gain so much by having a philosophy that you apply in a uniform, consistent, and repeatable way. And everybody, like assist coaches, players, parents, because we can't be mistaken. Like I dealt with parents at the varsity level too. Not directly with the parents, but with the athlete being overwhelmed and all screwed up because of what was happening with their parents. So my belief is that you can get at what you're all aiming for by setting the tone at the beginning of the year and, let's face it, not changing mid-course. Because if you do that, then you lose your credibility.
Your mic, Wally.
Yeah.
The consistency of walking the talk is the problem. Yeah, if you have that meeting, and most don't, but if you have that meeting and clearly outline how you're going to operate with the development model, and then you change your thinking, you have problems. So, Dan, you said it. It's all about trust. And I don't care if it's business, leadership, ownership, parenting. Trust is the key word. And if you don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're going to do it, you're going to have a difficult time earning trust and gaining respect. Because right now, players don't trust coaches, don't respect coaches, and it's not the fault of their own. They're out in the middle of an ocean and with a ship without a rudder. They don't know what direction they're going. They don't know why they're coaching. And they don't know how to coach to get the most out of a team. They're coaching the way they've been coached. And so it's fairly simple, but yet it isn't. Because the outcomes, the score clock, overrule reason. The process is forgotten about, the development process. And you may not win every game, but you'll certainly be more successful. I think the definition of winning is the key to it all. Being the best you can be. And that means not taking bad penalties, selfish penalties, not staying out too long, and back checking hard. Good behaviors, life skill behaviors. And I think that understanding that's why you're coaching. It's got nothing to do with score clock. What they're learning from playing that game, and you know what their kids are learning? How not to lead, how not to coach. That's the reality of it. They're talking about the stuff that's going on and they can't understand it. So I think we have to keep up with the young generations. It's right, it's intelligent, it's technologically connected, far ahead of us in the learning curve of where they're going. And I think we've got so much to do yet to catch up to them. So,
and involve them in how you're going to do it.
Yeah. And I think Carla said it right. She got permission. She got permission from them to manage the bench in the playoffs. The players made that decision. It was their decision. It wasn't hers. It was theirs. And I think that Dan has taken that point away for his teams, is permission to do that. That's going to gain respect. You're walking the talk. You're doing what you say. You're following through on it. You're respecting them by listening to them. And they're going to trust you. They're going to believe in you. More importantly, they're going to believe in themselves. Well, I'm not sure, Dan, but I'm sure glad you got on today because you fit the mold of the group pretty well. It's quite a cross section of people, and I really don't know what else to say, Mike. But you seem to be doing this in a regular time, this kind of thing with your coaches club and the coaches site, and in discussing these kind of topics. And I think the mission is to try to make a bigger difference in affecting the way the game is played. And we're all in our silos and our areas, and we just try to do the best that we can and make a difference. And that's all you can do.
Wally, I've been trying to raise my hand, but I'm